What's going on, Star Wars fans?
Hello there.
We are back. I am back, and I'm so glad to be here with these two fine gentlemen that held the fort down for me. Appreciate you guys taking care of that while I was gone. I knew it was in good hands while I was gone, and good Star Wars stuff. It was so many times that I wanted to, like, when I was listening or trying to listen and just like put my 2 cents in, I was like, oh, they got some good stuff going on there. And I was like, oh, and I couldn't do it. So now I get to, but now we're going to move on to a bunch of other stuff. So it is what it is. So how are you guys?
Man, doing well. It's good to have you back, and great to see your vacation photos.
Yeah, it was fun. We had an incredible time. I've only been there at work for work, and we're just in and out, and you don't get to do a lot of touristy stuff. So it was really cool to do that. So Mike will be here in a little bit. Jedi Order 17. He will be here. He's going to be late, so he's running late. On that note, Nick, I'll get to you in a second, but I just want to say hello to everybody that's here. Appreciate you guys jumping on here. We got the Max Rebo experience, and Jedi Jarvo is here. Lane is here from Minnesota. It's nice and probably nice and warm up there.
Yeah.
And Jacob's on, and yeah, so appreciate you guys jumping on. There's Jessica and Jedi Order 17. Galaxy 23 is on. Evan, what's going on, buddy? Appreciate you guys jumping on. Nick, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. It's good to have you back. I feel like you missed some of the more dense weeks for Star Wars stuff leaking out that we've had in a long time. So
True story.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's good to have you back now.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with it, which is good. Obviously, that's what we do when we're a bunch of Star Wars nerds, and it's sort of like the couple things that we're gonna talk about tonight. Whether I think it's cool. Mike was talking about it yesterday on his podcast. We'll get to it, but like the snowy planet that they're on for Mandalorian and Grogu. Figure out what planet that might be. I thought that was sort of cool. And then all the stuff that you guys were talking about in reference to Starfighter and the Ben Solo stuff, which I think is so cool. And I'm hoping that we get that. My vote obviously is definitely let's do it. When we can and it comes around. I think obviously as much as the production and things that have been going on in reference to trying to push it out there, I think it will probably eventually come to fruition, but it's going to be a little bit, unless they're really, really quiet about it and something's going on already. But I think that's going to be a good thing to do for that Ben Solo, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also we do have a holiday that's going to happen before our next episode. A very big holiday.
Okay.
Gentlemen, November 17th.
Okay.
Life Day.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, we can wait for Mike to talk about Life Day because they released the pictures of Chewbacca and some of the new treats and stuff that they're gonna have at the parks. So I'm pretty excited. I've got my Life Day robe and ready to celebrate.
Nice. Now, will you be down there during Life Day, or when are you going?
No, I'm not gonna be down there till February.
Okay.
Yeah, like the beginning of February, I'll be down there.
All right. Do they do the Star Wars weekends like they used to? Not anymore, really?
No, not at all.
They have
people do their own meetups and stuff now, but they don't do Star Wars weekends, which is really sad because I never got to experience that, and I would love to. But people still put together meetups, and I know there was one this summer, and there was so many people at it. It was crazy.
Yeah. That's fun. Well, and when they have the celebrations in like Anaheim or down in Orlando, they usually try to, one night that they'll get everybody to go over there. You get like a special pass. Obviously, you got to pay for it, but you get to go over there, which is really cool. I think is a neat thing. But I got to do it twice, and it was fun. It was really cool. It was in between movies. So there was Clone Wars and stuff were there. So I remember like Ashley Eckstein was there. I think James was there. at some point, and they had their own little booth, sort of like just going to a convention, and they had their own little booths, and you could go up and get a picture, but they always had cool memorabilia and stuff, as we know, when all that stuff comes out. So
yeah, hopefully they'll bring it back someday. You can always hope.
Yes. Along with that, the little hotel thing that was $5,000 for 3 days.
That's not coming back. That is gone. But now it is kind of cool because I guess we can just jump into kind of parks news a little bit. But they also just released. They did a preview of the new Disney ship, and it has a big Star Wars area, and they're doing more of these like themed bars on the cruise ships, on the Disney cruise ships. So they're getting like dangerously close to what they were doing. I mean, obviously not the full extent, but like theming things like they did for the Star Cruiser. So I would love to see like one of the cruise ships have that experience.
Yeah.
And doesn't have to be the whole time, but it would be pretty great to have like a day or even just an evening. Would be totally
I thought
fun.
they did. I thought they had like one of the Disney cruises is like a Star Wars cruise.
They do, but like I want it like the full on Star Cruiser themed out. Everybody's in character. Like that would be so great.
Yeah. That would definitely be fun.
I feel like that'd be the smart way to kind of like roll it back out too, is to like test it on the cruise, see how they can, what they can get for it as far as a turnout.
Right. And it's not permanent. So like they could do it like, hey, once a month we roll this out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or like just during like Life Day.
Right.
They just do it in November for a minute. So we can always hope.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into this Oscar Isaac thing. What's your guys' thoughts on him coming back? I know Derek and I were just touching on it a little bit before we got on, and his time before, and I think Mike had the video yesterday, but his time before, he talked about, oh yeah, I'd come back to Star Wars, if I needed to buy a new house or something, sort of like pushing it off. And I think now there might be a little bit more to it if he comes back, because again, I think obviously Disney has money and money talks, but I think he sees possibly how big Star Wars has become, and he might want to get back into it. So what were you going to say, Derek?
Well, I mean, he made a statement and it's political. So like without going into politics, it was just one of those things that's like, okay, yeah. I like him. I think he's amazing. I love his characters, but I don't think he's ever going to come back.
Okay.
Especially with like everything with Moon Knight and everything else, it's like he's done. He is done.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, I actually agree with Derek, unless it gives me the idea that if he was going to come back and he was being coy before, it's probably along the lines of them telling him, hey, we've got this Hunt for Ben Solo movie teed up and we're expecting it to get, greenlit any day now. And then it didn't happen. And that kind of like brings down the scaffolding of everything they were planning to do moving forward, which now probably won't involve a Poe Dameron thing. But also I agree with Derek. I don't think, I think he's moving on. He's not that he wasn't before, but I feel like he's been getting into some different types of roles now in some other franchises, and also maybe a little different vibe. So I don't know. I think the only thing that would bring him back is if they really, seem to have a plan for those characters down the line, like they're supposedly doing with this Rey movie and all that kind of stuff, or what it sounds like they were trying to do, with our last 3 weeks topic of the Hunt for Ben Solo. Other than that, I don't think, like, I remember a few weeks ago we were talking about him having a cameo in Starfighter. I don't think that's ever going to be, he's never going to be a cameo guy in this. And I think it would take like basically sequel trilogy level, magnitude for him to come back, in my opinion, in terms of like budget and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, to me, it's especially with his statement that he made on Jimmy Kimmel. I don't foresee him. And Disney is notorious for when people start to go political, doesn't matter what side, they don't want to do it. They don't want to work with you, which I get it, because when they have sided with people that got political, it messed up their audience on both sides. So again, not going into politics on our end, but on the business end, Disney just doesn't like doing it. So I think he's done.
All right. What do you guys think in the chat? Let us know. Oscar Isaac, you think he'll be back in Star Wars? You think he'll be in Starfighter? You think he's done?
I'll put a poll up there as well.
Okay. But yeah, let us know. Yes, he'll be back. No, he won't. Until we talked to Derek today, actually, till about a half an hour ago, and also understand, how Disney does. I would have said yes. I would have said that I thought he was going to be back. I think he did a great job, and I think everybody thinks that as well, being Poe Dameron. And I think it would have been cool to see him in Starfighter. Again, I think we had talked about it before, maybe something else popped up, but I think it would be cool for him to have even just a cameo or something where, he's training, Ryan Gosling's, character or whatever that character might be. But if it's going to be some sort of battle or a starfighter, as they talked about, maybe we'll get into that a little bit, where it might be like a Top Gun type of thing. I think you have to have Poe Dameron in there sort of to talk, to show, to teach, to do something, and I think it would be great for him to come back. And I thought he had a great character. He does, like you said, Derek, he does a bunch of other stuff with what he's getting into. I do want to go see the Frankenstein movie. So I think it would be great for him to come back, just like some of these other ones where we've talked about, Ahmad Best, and then I can't think of his name, but Finn, coming back to some of these. Yeah. So with the whole thing that he talked about in that you're probably correct, Derek, and letting Disney's going to be like, you know what, if you're going to put political stuff up here, we can't bring you back. And it's the same thing, that all of a sudden the whole Gina thing blew up and this and that and this and that, and we've heard nothing.
Well, they settled that case finally.
Right.
For a lot of money, undisclosed amount of money.
Right. But I thought she would possibly, little rumors here and there, because they were talking about maybe coming back, maybe working with her again.
Gotcha. Well, and yeah, I still don't think they will. I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to have her back. I'd love to have both of them back. They're great characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I guess with Oscar Isaac, it's a little bit different because his likeness is still in the parks, on the attractions. So like, but they already own the rights to all that. But like, when that is theirs, it's theirs. That's like saying you're going to take them out of a movie or something. They're not going to do that. So you'll still see him in places. You're just not going to see anything new. At least I don't think so. And if it proves me wrong, awesome. I would be happy to be wrong about this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's I feel like we were talking about a few weeks ago, are his answers in these interviews kind of coy because they're up to something and he's just not saying it like some of them do in the past. I don't think they had any plans of bringing him back, right now. So he's just letting it fly. And I think it's also outside of the political stuff. I think he just probably won't come back unless there's unless there's a real need for it. For example, if they do some Rey stuff or do some stuff with the sequel trilogy characters again, and they move off a Starfighter and get into that, and there's like a good script that requires his character to be there, I think he would do it. Just a matter of whether or not, Disney/Lucasfilm would do that.
Well, and there's also the Marvel side of things with Moon Knight, and like when you call the company that pays you the F word, it's kind of hard to go back. Maybe not. Maybe
Yeah.
not. So it's just tough. And yeah.
Yeah. I would also throw out there, this might be changing subjects too fast, but Mike posted a video about of a video of Sean Levy talking about Starfighter, and hearing him talk about that leads me to believe that like very few, if any, notable cameos are coming in that movie too. I don't know if you guys watched that.
Yeah.
And it was, I thought it was great. I thought, you know, the way he described what they're trying to do sounds pretty exciting. I don't know what you guys thought of it, but for those who might not have seen it, it was Sean Levy, the director of Starfighter, coming up with Ryan Gosling, talking about the direction they're taking with it, how it's pretty much all new timeline, new characters, new stuff that's kind of grounded in the feel of the originals and what we love, but they're not restrained by anything. They're just, you know, going. And like that, I feel like that brings a likelihood for big cameos like a Poe Dameron, like we were wondering. I feel like that brings that likelihood down. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I mean, I hope we see that. I hope we see. My thing is with that, there's going to be something. I don't care what he says. There's going to be some tie-in somewhere. I think. I don't think that Disney's going to let this go by, or even Lucasfilm is going to let this one movie stand alone. Maybe it's not a prequel, it's not a sequel. It's just, you know, it's a standalone. It's a little bit different time, but I think that we're going to have something in there that's going to come back somehow, whether it's a couple Easter eggs or things like that. There's going to be things in there to service the fans, I think, and it'll be interesting to see what it is. But again, like Mike has talked about and we've talked about on here, some of these people just, I mean, not that they're outright lying, you know, what is the old saying, a little white lie or whatever, but I think sometimes they omit some things, or even blatantly lie and say, yeah, I'm not going to be in that, and all of a sudden they're in it because they don't want to spoil it, or, you know, they have their NDAs that they can't talk about anything. So I disagree a little bit with you. I think we're going to see something cameo or something from somebody from somewhere in this Star Wars universe. It's not all going to be just these new characters.
I guess what I mean is that I don't think we're going to get like Vader and Rogue One level cameo. I feel like we're going to get little things like you're saying that kind of familiarize us, but we're not going to get, like in this case, in that time, it'd be like Rey, Poe Dameron, you know, the big players of the time. I don't think are going to show up.
Now, do you think that they'll get like name dropped though?
Yep. I think everything we know will get name dropped in order to like place us.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll, you know, I don't think we'll get a Poe Dameron hallway scene or a Chewbacca, you know.
Now I wonder if they could like just have Poe ship without Oscar Isaac.
For sure.
I mean, they can do whatever they want, but like, I wonder if they would do that. That would be, I mean, it wouldn't be as cool as having him in it, but it would be pretty cool.
It'd be like,
well,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say it could be like, you know, when you see, because you know, even like Attack of the Clones or whatever, when they show the close up of some of the clones in the Starfighters, you know they're sort of CGI'd in there, but you can still see the face of Tamara Morrison in there, you know, so that could be cool, like you said, Derek, where he's just flying around, they show his face in there, you know, maybe uses, you know, they can have his voice on AI anyways, you know, like you said, Derek, they have his voice and they have that character, so they can do that at this time, or they might switch it around and do that, which would be cool, because you could have a little cameo, have him maybe say something, you know, if he's not going to come back, well, shit, then you blow him up, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know,
so, don't do that.
I'm gonna start
so mean,
killing everybody off, you know.
That'd be so mean. Could you imagine, like, he doesn't come back for for his own reasons and stuff, and then they just insinuate that he's gone. Like
a background explosion.
that'd be so horrible.
That'd be bad.
It would be so bad. I'd feel horrible for him. Like, oh, even if you wanted to come back, now you can't.
Sean has something. I think that definitely could pop up. I think somebody like a Ray, like a cameo. I think we might get a Darth Vader thing, Nick. I think we might get something that'll pop up in reference to, like a Ray or a C-3PO or R2-D2, because again, they've pretty much been a staple in the movies. So if we have C-3PO coming up and saying something, silly, or R2 doing something, I think that could be a cool thing. I think that it's just a little bit of a play on words for him at this point. I don't think they're going to be like, oh, okay, here you go, we like this movie, you go over and you do what you want with it. We're not going to have any input on these people. I think that they're going to have some input to satisfy some of the fans.
Now, I would love to see something like Lieutenant Beck, which is a little bit more of a deep cut. Lieutenant Beck is in the ride, Rise of the Resistance, and his voice is James Arnold Taylor. So he looks, he's a Mon Calamari or whatever they're called. So he looks like Akbar, and I think that would be so cool to have him in there, because obviously he has the connection with the rebellion and with Poe, and he's in the ride, and it's not like you'd have to pay an actor as much. You just have James do the voice.
Yeah.
It's true.
That'd be pretty cool. And again, it's a little bit of a deep cut, kind of. I mean, he's a big part of the ride in the attraction, so maybe.
Yeah. I think they would have to probably give a little background on him in reference to that, which I think it's not going to take anything but 5 seconds to just sort of explain who he is, and then boom,
he's a captain,
right?
Just put the logo on his shoulder and you'll get the gist pretty much.
Yeah.
That's very true. Who was saying that? Jedi Jarvo. I don't know if you guys did. I was actually sitting at JFK Airport on Sunday night, but got to watch The Force Awakens. Mike did a watch party, so that was fun. It's funny thing was I started watching it about a half an hour before we landed, and then I saw that he was doing a watch party, so I just started it over again when he did, and we watched it. But I think that those three movies are, as much as we've talked about how they got shit on when they first came out, but then there's so many people that love them, like Madeline. Those were her favorite three movies. There's other people that love these movies. And now, as we're starting to get into this Ben Solo stuff, I think you're going to have to put some of these people in there, again, whether it's a voice or it's a cameo, or we even talk about them, to satisfy some of these fans in reference to, what's going on. Because this is Starfighter is after, correct? Or is it before? It's 5 years after.
After, yep.
After,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no it's the first time in a while we've had something where there's no implications of connecting dots. It's just, we're going. We don't know the end of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys in the chat, do you guys think there'll be any cameos in Starfighter? Or are we just going to stick with Ryan Gosling and, Matt Smith and some of these other people that we have already?
Sounds like another good poll opportunity there, Ron.
Ooh.
What was the first poll? I mean, tell me what the.
I don't remember the first. Oh, the first one was smash a like, but this one was, will Oscar Isaac be back? 67% of you said yes.
Okay.
That's surprising. So again, maybe I've been wrong at least twice before. Okay. So what are we asking here?
So
will there be cameos?
Let me clarify, not to go all the way back to Oscar Isaac, but are we talking back ever or back anytime soon? Because my mind's more at anytime soon is a big fat no.
I'm saying not ever.
You're saying not ever?
Yeah.
I think that I'm saying there's a chance, but not anytime soon. I guess that's my answer.
I'm saying not ever.
Okay.
And I would I say possibly in Starfighter. I think I think maybe they're trying to fool us. And if not in Starfighter, I think that I think they try to bring him back in reference to the Rey movie when they start doing that. Because I think he was a big part of that. Him and Finn sort of are becoming higher on the chain of command. At this point, it's pretty much the two of them. Rey's going to do her Jedi thing, but now who do we have? Is Finn Finn a Jedi? That's a whole other freaking story we could get into in reference to.
That probably, if they were going to do anything with him, actually, instead of just kind of like park him in the back, he would have like a decision to make that we'd probably have to watch, because they kind of tee him up like he's, obviously that he's force sensitive and that he's going through it. And I feel like, what does he do? Does he keep being the resistance hero, or does he go with Rey? I feel like that would be something they tee up in that movie itself, because I don't see them doing. That's why I say it's possible later that we get an Oscar Isaac again, because I don't see them bringing back Daisy Ridley and John Boyega without Oscar Isaac. But John Boyega is another one who's kind of like thoroughly rallied against Disney as well. And I feel like that's cleared up a little bit, but
was his more against Disney, or was it more against like the directors and like how that happened?
I think more the directors and the writing. I think it was more about kind of like another individual that we've talked about who had comments on the writing. But I think it's because of that. Like, I think they were originally, it's a pretty cool idea to have a defected stormtrooper who's trying to find his way. And, we never really had that perspective ever. And then it just kind of became a side thing. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
And you do have to kind of look at like the pattern of things. So like Oscar Isaac was supposed to be at Celebration and he canceled. Now it was because of production schedules or whatever, but like, John Boyega was not there.
Yeah.
You kind of have to look at who is appearing at stuff still.
Yeah.
That should give you a good idea.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
And who ends up actually showing up too, because sometimes they don't list people and then they pop in there. Yeah.
Well, look at all the stuff with Sam. Like, oh my gosh, we're getting a whole new series. And he's like, I couldn't talk about it for a year, or a year and a half, or whatever it was. It was amazing. So that was something that no one was expecting whatsoever. But when you have people that are canceling, of course, they're busy, they're doing stuff, but not somebody who has two major roles from a company.
Yeah.
When you're on both Marvel and Star Wars, you're on the payroll big time, and you cancel a huge event. That's not just production.
Yeah. All right.
That's business.
So do you think that first of all, I don't know how this works. If they had, going back to Hunt for Ben Solo, since Ron, I feel like you were probably watching and like chomping at the bit to give your 2 cents about all this stuff when you were gone. But like, we were talking about how not doing the Hunt for Ben Solo might have affected the trajectory of like what they're doing a little bit, considering they had paid all that money to do it and had it scheduled and everything, and were kind of blindsided by the rejection. And so, we had mentioned maybe that's why we got a really weird announcement about a Rey movie right around the time they would have rejected Hunt for Ben Solo, and they're kind of like feeling it out. And, maybe that's why there was a little bit of a drop of The Stranger, maybe The First Night of Ren, all that kind of, like, we were talking about what did that do to affect their plan. and how much of the hunt for Ben Solo is left over now? Have they been pulling from it, or are they just leaving it alone? All that being said, do you think in that, if they have it that ready to go, were they contacting people that they might want in the movie or who are in the script? Like, do they contact, if it gets to that point and they have dates set up and Oscar Isaac is supposed to be in that script, did they contact him, or do they contact John Boyega? Do they contact Daisy Ridley, or do they wait until it's happening? I don't know how that works, actually.
So I'm only going to go off of from when James and Ashley and Matt did the panel that I saw, and they were talking about like when the last season of Clone Wars came back. They didn't know until Filoni called their agents and like, it's on.
Oh, and then they just went to work?
Yep.
Wow.
Now, obviously, with like big stars and people that are on screen, it might be different, but I'm going to say that they're not going to know until they know, until it is greenlit.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's at least some test screenings or test shootings or something.
Yes, officially, but I think that if I'm Adam and I'm going to call Daisy up and be like, hey, listen, I got this really cool idea. This is what we got going on. Would you be interested? Yeah, if it comes to fruition, sure. Or hey, Derek, you know what? Nick, I got this movie. Would you guys be interested in doing it? If it comes, we're going to go take it to Lucasfilm. We're going to take it to Disney. What do you guys think? This is we paid this. This is who I got, directing it. This is who else I called. I called John Boyega. He's in. Would you be interested? I think that stuff behind the scenes possibly goes on, but
sure, I could definitely see that happening.
That we're gonna Dave's calling people up, going, hey, listen. We're calling agents or whatever. But I think that the behind the scenes type of thing where a friend calls a friend and says, hey, listen, you know what? This would be really cool. I got this set up, so let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they kind of hinted at that. Like there was one thing that I think they had all gotten greenlit, but they weren't told that they could talk about it yet. And it was like, hey, so have you been doing anything lately? And it's like, I don't know. Or have you been doing anything lately? And it was really cool how cryptic they were. And they were like, this is with each other and they talk all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And even though at that point they had a good idea because they had finally been asked about it. Like, it's coming back. We want to know if you're in. But they still couldn't talk to each other. But then they've all talked to each other about how can we get back into things, or what would you do if we did something else, or what should we do? So yeah, I agree 100%. Those conversations are probably happening.
Yeah. And one of the things that stuck out to me, and I think actually everybody that, I've seen on social media talking about this story that is now might be almost a month old now, the Hunt for Ben Solo stuff, but is how it sounds like everyone involved with it, including people at Lucasfilm, were actually kind of blindsided and shocked that they got that far and got shut down.
Yeah.
In which case, like, I think 100%, Ron, what you just said, they definitely talked to everyone that they wanted involved in a casual way, for sure. And I don't know if any like offers went out. That's why I'm asking. I don't know what the process is of like, do they do test screening and then if they hate it, they never signed anybody? I don't know. But
I mean, that very well could be. That's a little bit out of my realm. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But like the response that you read about with this story about how shocked they were that it wasn't going to happen leads me to believe that they really not only had it very precisely written of who they wanted in there, but they were already planning to literally sign the papers and like basically get it going, and we're gutted. Which I just feel like that at least guarantees that there were like people with personal relationships definitely talking about doing it. But
yeah, there was definitely some conversations behind the scenes going on, I think, for sure. And I think that once again, how big this has become, they're definitely listening to the fans. they're definitely over there at Disney, smacking Bob upside the head, going, "Why did you say no to this?"
Hey, we're gonna have a new CEO soon, so maybe he'll do it.
But I think and maybe that's his going away present as he walks out the door. He greenlights this.
I wouldn't see that happening with Bob.
No,
I think with everything going on, though, I think the public or the fans are talking, and it's definitely in his mind now going, oh, shit, did I make a mistake?
Yeah. Well, and I kind of mentioned this on one of the episodes, saying that with who's probably going to be the CEO, I mean, it's the Parks guy. So, like, you have so much already with Kylo Ren. Why wouldn't you want more? So I could definitely see that happening when it does change over. And maybe it's kind of like what happened with the last changeover, where Bob Iger left and Bob Chapek came in, and Bob Chapek did all this stuff, and then it was like, oh, well, this didn't work, so let's bring Iger back in to be the hero. It was like it seemed pretty well planted. Maybe they're gonna do that again. I don't think they'll do that with Josh tomorrow, but that's if he gets the job, which he probably will.
Yeah, and I would also point out that, like, it could be Bob Iger that Oscar Isaac is kind of speaking through too. Like, I think in a lot of these conversations when people are talking about Disney, they're talking about Bob Iger and talking about the team around him and that sort of thing.
Well, and I think his comment was like succumbing to it.
Yeah.
So more so like caving to the pressure.
Yeah.
The political pressure. So like, yeah. And also that statement that he made was made 2 days after all of that happened with Jimmy Kimmel. So they had shot it still, and they just now are airing it.
Yeah.
So like more has come out about that story, about how things happen and how that pressure happened. So we don't know. Like, he might come out next week and be like, "Oh no, I'm actually really happy with how they handled it and how." Like, I don't know. Who knows?
I agree with you though, Derek. I don't think Bobby Iger is gonna
Greenlight it.
Heck no.
No. Who was Mike saying last week that, like, nobody has an ego that big? And I was like, I wish Mike were here, because I think people are going to thoroughly disappoint Mike throughout his life in how big egos can get. Because I think if anybody has one, it's him. And no offense, hey, don't uninvite us from Celebration if we get invited or something, Bob, if you're still in office. But
hey, Bob, I love you, and I've read your book, so it's cool.
I haven't. I don't care to. But I don't see him, like, what's in it for him if he greenlights it. He just gets a little bit of praise, or I don't know. I think
people are just kind of over him anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I don't think he's going to be taking big shots before he leaves.
Something that I thought of, and I think Mike said it actually during the watch party, but I've thought about this for a while, even once this came back and they were talking about this. He has a lot to there's a lot of retribution that Kylo's going to have to do, because he killed a lot of MFers, man.
His dad.
Yeah, I mean, he was a bad dude.
So that,
not like, oh, well, hey, guess what? I'm back. I'm redeemed. So everything's hunky dory. Let's have a good, fun, Star Wars movie with Ben Solo now, who's not Kylo Ren anymore. So, hopefully they'll have something to do with that. Something else is going to have to go on, but I don't think, save Ben Solo, great, but Ben Solo became Kylo Ren and he did a bunch of bad shit. So we have to have something, something's got to be done with that as well. So I'm really interested to see what that script was that he had. I think that would be interesting once it hopefully, and if they don't do it, maybe it comes out as a book. Who knows? That could be cool too.
That'd be great. Or like a graphic novel. To your point, Ron, like, first of all, there's a bunch of, probably still out there somewhere, really good YouTube videos from a long time ago about, like, what would happen if Luke brought and redeemed Anakin Skywalker back and he survived? It's like, dude, he would have been put on a freaking war criminal trial. Like he's like, it's not this funny. It's the best case scenario that he died and that Luke got to have that moment, and it's whatever. But like, same case for Kylo Ren now, where you're in a situation where like Rey's gonna come back to, say we're in universe and Rey comes back to Finn and is like, oh, I freaking love Ben. I love him. He's a part of me. And he's going to be like, are you kidding me? That psychopath? Like, what is wrong with you? And I think they would vehemently disagree on their perspectives and their points of view on this person. And that would make for a good movie in and of itself. But I feel like if they did it, it's probably more along the lines of like the video you posted yesterday or the day before, Ron, where he, isn't necessarily just like there. Obviously everyone's looking for him, but he's also reclaiming like some humanity even, or it's kind of like a nebulous thing. I think it would be, especially when they say supposedly that it wasn't that big of a budget for the movie. I think it would be more of it wouldn't be like he's just planted in the universe and they're having to deal with him. I think it'd be a more interesting thing, like your video suggests. Go watch that, everybody.
Yeah, it's a good video. Larry has a good question. Who killed more, Kylo or Anakin? Well, are we saying Anakin or Darth Vader?
Are we lumping everybody in?
Yeah.
It depends on if you think the Death Star deaths are on Tarkin's hands and if the Star Killer deaths are on Hux's hands. Because I think Hux, if it's on Hux's direction, Hux, I think, would probably have the highest kill count for taking out an entire solar system.
True.
Right? Vader probably has a lot more than Kylo. I would say,
personal ones. Yeah.
He does. I had just pulled it up. So yeah, significantly. So yeah. Larry, Anakin or Darth Vader. But again, they also say because he had such a longer time. Kylo's only been a bad guy for, I don't know, a couple of years, where Darth Vader was a bad guy for 20 years? Something like that.
Anakin racked one up when he was good too. Let's make no mistake.
True story. I mean, just the Tuscans. So.
Yeah, I mean, how many were there?
Yeah, and technically pre-Vader. I mean, was he Vader when he took out the younglings?
Yeah, I think in name only.
Yeah, because he says rise.
Yeah,
he said rise, Lord Vader.
He gets named.
That's right.
Yeah. I agree with my mom there in the chat.
It's heartbreaking. Every time I see it, like I said, I saw it Sunday again, and it's just like it's so. I remember being in the theater and was like, "What the." I was like, oh my God, they just killed Han Solo. I was like, holy shit.
I yelled at the screen. I think everybody in the screening yelled.
Yeah.
No! It was kind of like when Ron and I were watching and Luke came back.
Yeah.
We're just sitting out there. Like 5 in the morning. It was amazing. It's one of my core memories for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
On my deathbed, I'll be like, I'll never forget watching The Mandalorian with Ron when Luke came back.
That's right. All right, we're gonna switch gears a little bit. I know we were definitely talking about, and again, that's what's cool about this is we can switch gears and we deep dive into some of these other things. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, which I thought was cool, was some of these new things that are popping up with the Mando movie, is this possibility of what planet they're on with the AT-ATs, and is it Exegol or is it Hoth? And at first, when we started talking about it, and when I was listening and hearing other people talk about it, I thought possibly it could be Hoth, because I think that that's a reach into the OG. I think so many people were sort of pissed at the sequels when they came out because they messed up this or that, and a lot of the OG people or were just ticked off at some of the things that were going on. And I thought, okay, cool, they're gonna put this on Hoth. That would be great because I think all of us would be like, oh my god, this is so cool, they're on Hoth, But as we got into it a little bit more, and Mike had pulled up the pictures yesterday, I think it was yesterday. I have to agree, and I think this could be Exegol because go ahead,
Vandor.
Okay.
From Solo, where they're stealing the coaxium.
Yep. But I think because they're trying to bring, as much as the sequels have come, when they first came out, and then they just sort of dropped off. I think they're going to try to bring it back, and I think Exegol would be a cool way to tie in the prequels or the sequels to this Mandalorian movie. And now you have a possibility of Starkiller Base.
Let's see what this guy has to say.
Yeah. Hey,
have you been listening at all?
Have you been listening?
Oh, okay, there we go. Yes, I've been listening to probably the last 20 minutes. I didn't catch the beginning, but yes, I've been listening. Yes,
I'm with Kyler. I think it's Ilum.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah.
There's a lot. So yeah, we did the watch party for the Force Awakens.
Exegol, sorry, I don't know why I was saying Exegol. I meant Ilum.
I knew what you meant.
Okay, my bad. Yeah. It looks because I was pretty sure that first picture that is from Force Awakens, right?
Yes.
This one, yes.
That one, yeah. So I was like, that's what I think it is.
Yeah. So I was doing we were doing the watch party for the Force Awakens, and I mean, the whole time, as soon as I thought about it, because we just watched the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, you can't unsee it. Like, it's not just the fact that it's a snowy planet, because there's a bunch of those in Star Wars, but it's the trees are the same, even the rocks, and of course it's just rocks, but they look the same as what we see in the Force Awakens, and it would make a lot of sense. We know that it's going to take a long time for them to make Starkiller Base. It's an entire planet turned into this massive super weapon, but we see from Andor and I guess Revenge of the Sith that it took 20 years, almost 20 years, to make the first Death Star. So you got to assume that to make the first Starkiller Base, it's going to take a long, long time, and that would be at least 20 years before, which is the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So, and there'd be a very Imperial presence with AT-AT walkers, which we see in the trailer, and all lines to me point to Ilum.
Yeah, before you popped on, I said maybe it could be Vandor from Solo. I don't think it is, but I mean, I mean, I'm going to say that's like a 3% chance, but it does look the same. And maybe they need those resources. Maybe they need that coaxium and stuff like that.
And we did just see a Solo planet in Ahsoka season 1 with Corellia too.
Well, then maybe it is. Maybe I should bump that to 10%. I don't know. I don't know.
No, but that was my thing. Is I thought for sure it was going to be Hoth, just again to bring some more people in, maybe to satisfy some fans. But when you were talking about this yesterday and brought up both those pictures, I was like, okay, I think they're going to try to bring the sequels into this. I think they're going to try to do some more, fan favorite stuff and bring people, show some of this stuff going on. I think that they're going to try to bring on just more of the Star Wars that people can sort of connect to. And I think that the crowd that is watching now with with the sequels and the Mando stuff, if you can start to bring that stuff together, I think a lot of people are going to they're going to understand it a little bit more, where they're like, oh, okay, this is that planet that, was in, the Force Awakens, and this is what they did for not the Force, but the sequels. So I think it'll be interesting to see what it eventually is. But I think with those pictures, and it's pretty good what you said, Mike. It's just they're just be right on there, and it looks so much similar to those planets together.
Yeah, and I'll wait till Derek comes back to mention it, but there is that Cal Kestis connection there with Ilum, because you go to that planet in the first Jedi game, but it's a connection all the way back to the Clone Wars. It's like a planet that if it shows up, just like Ahsoka gave us Rebels in live action and Ahsoka in live action, it's a connection all the way back to the Clone Wars, where we see the Jedi go in and get their kyber crystals. Like, it's a very cool planet that not your normie Star Wars fan knows that, well, maybe even about Ilum in the first place, but knows that planet is Starkiller Base. Like, it's kind of a fun fact right now, and it could be more of a known fact if it's in the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
And it connects the Shadow Council, because the Shadow Council is supposed to play this big role in all of this. We got 2 Shadow Council members confirmed to be in the Mandalorian and Grogu, and Hux was in that Shadow Council, exactly that Shadow Council right there. And Hux was working on Project Necromancer, and eventually his son is the one who blows up all the planets.
Yeah, and it's another reason I think that is possibly it, because you're tying that all into the sequels, and you're bringing it all. You're doing it. You're just bringing it all the way around, and I think that's a good. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm almost positive that that's going to be where we're going, and I think it'll be cool to see what they're doing on there and what they do find out. Do they find out about Starkiller Base, or do we get a little hint of it, maybe off in the distance or something like that, because it's not fully operational yet, or if it is, they're still trying to keep it secret, and we still got a little bit of time. What's the time? Do you know what the time frame is from Mandalorian?
It's like 20-ish years.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, maybe they're just starting out, sort of like we saw with the Yavin 4 and Andor. We start out and there's a bunch of these guys that we don't even, and they're just fighting against each other because they don't know what's going on. And by the end of it, we have this huge base that we get to see that started it all in A New Hope.
Yeah.
Well,
you got to no, go ahead.
Weren't they starting? I'm looking this up right now just to make sure. Weren't they starting Starkiller Base right around the start of the Empire? So wait, by 14 BBY, Empire had already started its construction on Starkiller Base. So when is that in comparison to
14 BBY?
14 BBY? What? 14 BBY? That's before
Yavin.
The Empire began mining the Kyber from Ilum in 14 BBY. First Order inherited the project and completed the transformation of Ilum into the superweapon.
So maybe they were mining the Kyber for the Death Star, because they used Kyber crystals to make the Death Star.
I just thought I remember seeing, is Jacob still here? Because I think there was something about it being around, like them working on it for a long time, like even during the Palpatine time, the same way that they were working on Exegol.
That would be very interesting. I haven't really seen much of that, but that would be really, really cool. I'd be down for that.
I'll get on it. You guys continue.
Yeah. Well, to that point too, like Ron was saying, you can see it sort of in its middle phase where it's being created. Because something like that, a planet-sized Death Star, it's kind of overlooked in The Force Awakens. It's something that's very, very big. And think about at the end of Andor Season 1, when we got the reveal that the things that Cassian was building in the prison ended up being pieces to the Death Star. And we were like, holy crap, he helped build the Death Star. Like, that was really crazy. So you can have a similar reveal of that level to Din and Grogu showing up at the place where the Starkiller Base eventually becomes. And yes, it's a connection to the sequels, which some people might not like, but to me, it would only elevate the sequels even more, giving you more of Starkiller Base and the Shadow Council and the people who made it happen. Because that's what makes the whole in-between originals and prequels so good, is those people, the Tarkins, the Partagazes, the Dedra Miros, those characters from the Empire we love so much because they have so much influence over all these things that happen, like Grand Admiral Thrawn. So now when we get those types of people in between the originals and the sequels, it's just bound to be great story.
May I ask what year, like, say, was the first season of The Mandalorian? Is that like 5 years after Return of the Jedi?
It's supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah.
So Battle of Jakku would have happened already.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a very quick glance over.
Yeah.
What it seems like is the people who are we? Hey, Derek.
Hey, did we say Cal Kestis?
We did. Yeah. Are we good on what the Battle of Jakku was? False flag operation.
What do you know? What year that took place? Does
5 years, 5 ABY, which doesn't.
Okay, so
that would be right after Return of the Jedi. Like,
a couple. Yeah. Well, that does make sense. That's sort of the last loss for the Empire, kind of.
Yeah. Kind of like making everybody think the Empire got blown up officially.
Yeah.
And like a devastating loss, but they actually then jettisoned the Shadow Council before that out to hide, which is where they started construction, it says.
Interesting.
So they had already scouted it, mined it, eliminated all native life, and called it Starkiller Base, and then started construction on it. So they basically, it says they took a bunch of Imperial logs, not wood, but like information logs, to fast track the weapon, and then they just threw everything they had at it. So
it sounds like that would mean Starkiller Base has been being worked on for at least 4 or 5 years at this point, at least. Now there's another 20 years until it's fully finished and operational, but still you're going to see the early phases of what, like, you see Ilum in its full glory from the Mantis in the Jedi games, in Jedi Fallen Order. And then you see Starkiller Base fully finished in The Force Awakens. This is sort of the midway point, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Very true.
Yeah, I think it makes the most sense for sure.
It would be really, really cool to see. I mean, Din and Grogu, it could be like this whole operation where for the whole time that they're on the planet trying to steal something or find out information, whatever they're doing there, we don't know what it is. And then it's not until like they try to leave where we get a zoom out look at this planet. We're like, holy crap, they were just on Starkiller Base that whole time. Like that'd be
it's
really
not until Din is unalived.
that's what I was gonna say. That if it's under too much construction, there's your Din dying theory right there.
Starkiller Base has got a little bit of Beskar in there somewhere.
Ooh.
So you're saying it's still there?
The corpse of Din Djarin is sitting on Starkiller Base.
Ooh, that's why it's so powerful.
So this says Battle of Jakku is 6 months after the Battle of Endor.
6 months? That's fast.
Meaning they got it. I do kind of remember that from the Aftermath trilogy, which starts slow and then gets really good. If anyone's got interest in it, but so, and that's where you get your first Shadow Council mention. So they must have just gotten right to work. Like they must have just got.
Well, the Shadow Council is doing a bunch of different things. Like some people are working on Starkiller Base. Some people are waiting for Thrawn's return. Some people are just Moff Gideon doing his own cloning operations on Mandalore, just having fun. Like they're all doing different things. So they need someone to unite them. I think Thrawn will be the first attempt, and Snoke will be the success.
True. I think it'll. I just think it's gonna tie everything together, which I think is cool. And like you said, it would be cool if we, again, sort of at the end, they sort of pan out, and it's like, oh, or we see some glimpses of, you know, where they're making it or what they're doing. You know, just like Navarro, you know, when they go and destroy that, you know, that facility, you know, nobody really knew what was going on. And here it is in the middle of this, like, for the most part, unknown planet until we had Mandalorian, you know, so they had that all set up. So I think this could be a cool way to bring that in. And again, like you said, Mike, to help the sequels, explain a little bit more of what's going on, because we could get something in that you could get something in that movie for 2 minutes to do a huge explanation for Starkiller Base, and that's all we would need.
Yeah. I got a question for you guys, and I was thinking about it as I was sort of listening on my way back home. So Palpatine, from what we get a little bit of in the Shadow of the Sith, he actually talks to Ochi of Bastoon. He's not physically there, obviously he's on Exegol, but he talks to him, and that's when he gives him the dagger and all that stuff happens. Do you think like Palpatine's in contact with some of these Shadow Council members? Like, do you think he's having conversations with more people than just Ochi of Bastoon, a bounty hunter? Like,
oh, absolutely. If he's doing all this stuff like we talk about, he's the voice that Kylo hears, all the voices.
Every voice you've ever heard, man.
Right.
Yeah. So obviously he is.
Yeah, but that's him showing up to Kylo as Vader or Snoke. I'm saying like Palpatine himself, maybe his trusted allies type people, like maybe Hux's dad or whoever who's working on Project Necromancer. Like, does he have frequent conversations with Palpatine on Exegol? Like, some people have to know he's there.
I don't think they're frequent, but I definitely think that he's in contact with someone like Hux.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did with John Pizzuto. I can't even think about his name right now.
Moff Gideon.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
I don't, maybe Moff Gideon as well, but I think probably one or two of them for sure, just so they could bring back and talk, hey, listen, this is the plan, this is what we got going on, because it is a Shadow Council, so obviously they're all going to be, keep their mouth shut and not talk about anything. They all had to sign an NDA before they joined.
You also have to put into effect, like, during the time of the Empire, even when Palpatine was in charge, there were people that didn't really, like, they loved the Empire, but they didn't love the Emperor. Like, they didn't love Palpatine. So maybe there's still some of those people in the Shadow Council, like maybe Pelion, who's like, no, we're better off with Thrawn than we are with bringing back Palpatine from the dead, or something like that. Like, people don't like the Sith just because they're magical ways. Like, they would rather a Thrawn type who's not Force sensitive. So maybe you have some of those in that Shadow Council too, and maybe Moff Gideon was one of those disbelievers.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that, because he's the one that is trying to bring, or create this special, or whatever you want to call it, human that has the midichlorians in him and everything else, where I think he had something going different than Palpatine did. I think he wanted to try to do it himself, and some other things were, some of that stuff that he had going on, I think, was sort of secretive to him.
Yeah. Well, sort of to that point too, my follow-up question to it, the reason I asked, do you think people are in communication with him, is because of Snoke's instant rise to fame. Like, Snoke is this random character who comes out of nowhere. It almost seems like Palpatine would have to be like, no, this is my guy. You got to trust him. Like, he's my replacement for now, until I come back, until I'm good to go, until I've healed up and, I've gotten an injury. I'm still working over here. I'm going to put this guy in as my replacement for now. Like, he's got to have some people in the know that Snoke is actually him or a puppet of his. Right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because Snoke does become so big so fast.
It reminds me, and sort of what I'm getting at, full circle here, is the Phantom Menace. When Palpatine has that hollow message with Newt Gunray, and he says, I'm sending my apprentice Darth Maul to Naboo to help you out and get rid of these Jedi. And then he sends Darth Maul there, and Darth Maul's supposed to deal with the Jedi, but Obi-Wan kills him. So it reminds me of that. Like, maybe Palpatine's having these hollow communications or some type of communication through the Force, maybe with Hux or with any other higher up. And he's like, I'm going to send in Darth Maul. I'm going to send in Snoke to come deal with this for now until I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
It just would, to me, I need Palpatine pulling all the strings. Like, we need him to be the guy who's really behind all of this, and it needs to be more explained. Like in the Clone Wars, when he's showing up or to Dooku and force choking him from across the galaxy, like stuff like that.
Well, in Battlefront 2, he's like that cyborg droid thing. So like maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, could be.
I'm gonna sound off for a second. I don't think he is because of stuff like that. So the Sentinels that he sends in Battlefront 2 are like contingency Operation Cinder. Let's do this thing. Literally destroy everything you got, kill everybody that serves under you. That like those kinds of things. There's a character that should probably play into this stuff more and never really panned out called Gallius Rax, who's basically the leader of all of Palpatine's contingencies.
Yeah.
Who plays a very vital role in leading up to the Battle of Jakku and setting up the First Order and all that kind of stuff. I think there's also an untouched part of all of this, like you just mentioned, of what exactly Snoke is. If Snoke is like his own person by the time he comes out of the vat, then that is a person I think Palpatine's talking to. I think Kylo Ren's or Ben Solo's obviously a person that Palpatine's talking to. I think even in the EU, Mara Jade's a person Palpatine's talking to, but he's not talking to, lower level admirals. The same way when he was Emperor, he wasn't talking to people.
Well, not even the EU. She's coming back. We know she's coming in.
True.
We get her.
Yeah. When he was the Emperor, he's not talking to people. He's out doing Sith stuff. He's very much not around bogging himself down. Being Emperor of the universe is just a means to an end for him. And then another untouched piece of this I thought was really interesting, and I'm bummed that we haven't got more except for Shadows of the Sith and some of the comics, is the Sith Eternal cult that just like didn't exist until Rise came out. He had Yup Tashu and all those weird guys that are walking around in Return of the Jedi at the second Death Star that are a part of that.
Yeah.
But like we have what looks like millions of people that have made this whole thing go who are like full on Team Sith, not Team Empire, not Team Palpatine, Team Sith, who genuinely believe in it. And furthermore, like I don't think any of those guys know in the Shadow Council, with exception to maybe one or two of them, that Palpatine's got anything going on Sith wise. And I'm not convinced any of them know what Necromancer actually is. Like the one dude from Bad Batch knew, Hemlock, or what's his name?
Hemlock. Yeah.
He knew and he's done. So like whoever takes it over might know, but that might it's such a cannibalistic situation for them all where they don't trust each other. They're not united. They don't know. I think Palpatine's letting it play out. And I think if he's actually talking to anybody, it's obviously Ben Solo. We know that. And then it depends on whatever Snoke is. Like, is he literally just a meat puppet for Palpatine, or is he like a real person?
That he's a meat puppet.
And there's like 4 more of them in a vat with the same exact scars. So like, is he just like I don't know what a strand cast is, because that's what he is according to Encyclopedia. So he'd be talking to him, in which case I think it's beneficial for Palpatine while he's figuring all this stuff out for people to not know that he's alive, because again, he's in a corpse. He's not even alive, but he's not dead. He's like in this really awful situation for him. He can't just like come back. So he like can't, but
well, that's why I don't think like everybody's talking to Palpatine. I think it's like maybe a select few, if not a select one, like you said, Dr. Hemlock, who is his replacement, because Project Necromancer continues after he dies.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I will say, and I was thinking as you said that, Snoke and Kylo, those are both Force users, so maybe he can only communicate with Force users. Ochi of Bastoon is still just the outlier. Now, granted, the Shadow of the Sith book is fairly new, so maybe it's something they're trying to backtrack and fix a little bit. But the Sith Eternal, those people show up to Ochi's house. I mean, he's living on like a garbage like mall in Clone Wars. He's living in the garbage, but they show up to him, the Sith Eternal, give him this dagger, and then Palpatine sort of comes to him. So maybe the Sith Eternal are like his henchmen going around and talking to people, and maybe it's not Palpatine physically, but they're like spreading his word or something. Again, I think it's only a select few. Like they move in the shadow, and if you get seen by them, then you're either dead or you're in the know and trusted. But I don't know. I think you're going to see a lot more of just some more of the weird side of things. Like the Mandalorian and Grogu, we didn't get the Shadow Council, we didn't get Pelion until season 3 in the second to last episode. So if they're introducing Legends characters like that, or just even important characters like that, all the way in season 3, like there's a lot more that you can get onto after that.
It's also in Palpatine's character to let them all have it out in the Shadow Council and find out who he actually wants.
Exactly.
And it's in his best interest, according to his contingency plan with Gallius Rax and Operation Cinder. He wants the New Republic to think that they won. And he wants the New Republic to basically kind of, dull its own blades,
Yeah. Well, to that point, the Gallius Rax of it all, as I just mentioned, we don't learn about Hux, Project Necromancer, Pelion, any of those people until season 3 of The Mandalorian. So it wouldn't be that crazy to give us a character like Rax in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie after having not seen him for the last 6 years on Disney Plus. Oh yeah, he does. He dies. Yeah, but to that point, you can still get reference to him and what those contingency plans were, because these people were all around. Like the Shadow Council were all around since the time of the Empire. It's not been that long, so they all know what's happened and what's gone down.
I want to say I brought this up because you had mentioned these guys a little bit, Nick. The one cool thing, and not to bring up any spoilers or anything, but I started reading the new book, the new Vader book, and there's a reference to these guys. There's not a big, it doesn't really help us figure out who they are or what they're doing, but there is a little bit of a reference to the other guys in that. I thought it was interesting that you brought that up. I will say that so far the book is amazing. I'm pretty excited. That I didn't want to put it down to come on here, but I had to.
Without spoilers, what are you enjoying about it?
Some of the behind the scenes stuff with Palpatine and Vader, especially. I'm only like in chapter 6, but I will say, and this isn't really a spoiler, because there's reviews out there already, but it's not. Don't go into it thinking this is going to be a Vader book, because Vader is not the main character in this. He does play a big part in it, but it is another character. I'll let you guys figure that out, or whatever. But it's really well done. I think the interaction with Palpatine and Vader was really cool. They actually first start out with, which I thought was neat, is the opera scene with Vader or with Anakin and Palpatine just sitting in there, and Palpatine talking about the Plagueis. So that was sort of cool. But I think everybody on this channel and the 3 of you guys are really going to enjoy that. And like you were talking about with Shadow of the Sith, yes, it's newer, but again, there could be some things in this book that sort of bring some things together, which I think is really cool about these books or the animation that's going on, or even the comics now, where we're bringing some more things into fruition, and we're learning a little bit more about Kylo Ren with that whole series that's going on. And if we bring in more books like this and we throw a couple pieces in there, it's all canon. So if you miss it, then you miss it, and that's unfortunately your fault. But if you're that big of a fan and you're keeping up with it, that's where I think these come into play. With, like you said, with the Ochi bassoon and Palpatine talking to him and figuring out what's going to go on, with his son, and you learn a little bit more about that whole Rey and her mom and dad thing. So I don't know what else is going to come from this, but it's a good book.
Yeah, well, to that point too of these books giving you all these different connective pieces and answering a lot of sort of unanswered questions. Well, first of all, what's really cool is that those guys are already mentioned in the book. Like those 2 are actually they come with the new Death Star Lego set too. The Darth Slice, those 2 from the Death Star, they come with the Lego set too, which is ironic. But going to Ochi of Bastoon in the sequels, when you watch The Rise of Skywalker and they pull out this dagger that has ancient Sith writing on it, and then the loop thing that comes out that perfectly points to where the Wayfinder is, you're like, okay, that is doesn't even make sense. Like, that's just stupid. How does this even work? Like, there's a dagger that somehow has the map of the broken second Death Star. Like, this makes no sense at all. And then you read the book and you're like, okay, this makes perfect sense. So instead of it being like a big flaw in the movie, now it's like a big, holy crap, how did that happen? And then you learn how that happened, and it's this whole extra thing. So that's what the books and comics and even the shows add so much more detail and explanation, because one man's stupid is another man's genius.
Right.
Well, it
Absolutely.
allows you to make a little more headway in your head canons about like what could happen or your interpretation about things too. Like it helps you go like, like we were just talking about, like who's Palpatine talking to, and you go, well, this happened here and this happened here, and you start being like, so there, I have options here and options here, and it kind of helps you make sense of what could happen. And honestly, it gets you carried away to a point where when they do something different on screen, you're like, oh man, I didn't even think of that, and I thought about this for 30 hours last week.
Right.
And and I feel like it's good all around, but it is a little bit of a trap, like you just said. Like, you start getting your heels dug into, that's not good. That's not what I wanted to see, because I didn't think. But that's Master of Evil, right, Ron? The book.
Yeah.
I really need to get my hands on that.
Yeah.
My mom.
Go ahead. So
I was just gonna say, I'm still listening to, re-listening to Thrawn Ascendancy right now. So as soon as I finish that, I'm gonna go straight to Master of Evil.
My mom just commented. I'm gonna pull it up if it's all right with you guys.
Yeah.
She is an avid reader. She reads a lot. I gave her a Star Wars book a few years ago, which I haven't finished.
What was the book?
I don't remember. What was the? If you got it on you, let us know, Mom.
Star Wars for Dummies.
Yeah. These books, I would say, are a read first, watch second sort of thing, because they're not the movies. I mean, there are novelizations of the movies, to answer her question. There are those.
Yeah.
But it'd be like, read the book and see what you get. And if something comes up, like you just said with the dagger from Shadows of the Sith, like you read Shadows of the Sith, you get the dagger scene. Then if you go watch Rise again, there's a bunch that just clicks. Like when you find things from the book that you remember from the movies, then I would say, then go watch that movie. But you won't know in a lot of these novels, like what that thing is typically. Like, unless, Master and Apprentice is, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. So that would enhance Phantom Menace. You'd know that from the jump. But you won't know like what to watch until you find something that you think is cool. Kind of ties you in after you read it. But
with Star Wars, it is hard. As the question is, do you read first or watch first? With like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings, like you can choose one of those two, because it's the same story being told. With Star Wars, it's usually like, other than the novelizations of the movies themselves, there's not a Mandalorian book that's telling the exact same story as the show. So you can't really do one or the other. It's kind of a combination of both. And as Nick said, it's sort of like picking your favorites, because the timeline jumps all over the place. But I mean, there's so many canon, but also even Legends books that are just really, really good, that help fill in the gaps.
Yeah, and I think like I don't know if that's what she meant by the read first or watch first, but yeah, I think a lot of, like you were saying, these books will come out afterwards and answer a bunch of questions. But then there are some of the ones, like Mike just said, for the novelization of the movies, but most of those don't come out until like the movies here already.
Yeah.
Correct. So again, we're all going to go watch the movie before. I'm like, I'm not going to watch the movie. I'm going to wait till the book comes out. I'm going to read that. Then I'll go watch the movie. No, I'm going to watch the movie.
No,
and
George wouldn't like that.
Yeah. It's different too, to Mike's point. Like, it's the books are just narrative adaptations of the movie. It's not like the movie came from this book. The book is like the script plus everything they cut. Right. So it's different from like Harry Potter books differing from the movies, because they're just completely different, like ways of telling the story. Star Wars novelizations of the films are just the movie in a book. and it's kind of the reverse of what you'd usually think of. If that answers your question, Mom.
Yeah,
but I mean, it adds a lot of detail. I feel like I've gone every single episode consecutively with saying that Revenge of the Sith novelization kicks ass and just gives you so much more of like what's going on in Anakin's head, all these other things. It's really dark. It's even darker than the movie itself. Like, and it's a little funny at times too. It's just really well done. So if you ever, it's not like it's a different story. It's just if the movie was 20 hours long, that's just be what it is.
Yeah, I mean, with books and shows, you have more time. Like, you have more time to explain what's going on. So you dive into more detail of a specific scene that you only get for maybe a couple seconds in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Now, Austin's talking about like Lost Stars. I also read that book, and he said he loves it. I thought it was the worst Star Wars book.
Really?
I don't think I've read that one.
It's like these two people growing up together, and then they fall in love. I don't know. It was just I did not care for it at all. So I would love to hear Austin's take on why he liked it so much. It's interesting. Boo, Derek, boo.
I have not read this one.
I did not like it.
I thought it was good.
And the implied love scenes, it was like, and then it was like a flash forward of like, yeah, they totally did it. It was like Peter Griffin telling a love story. They totally did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, oh.
Yeah. Derek's being roasted in the chat.
Yeah. Derek hates love. Can Derek read? No, actually, I did the audiobook.
There were no pictures.
I wanted Peterotica. It didn't hit for me. Didn't hit for me.
Well, sort of on topic with the Mandalorian and all that we've talked about. Today, November 12th, is the 6-year anniversary of Disney Plus and the 6-year anniversary of the Mandalorian season 1 premiere. I think it would be kind of fun if we looked back on the 6 years and maybe gave our favorites for Disney Plus shows.
I can't.
For the Mandalorian,
you got to choose one. Just total, because it's been 6 years. 6 years sounds kind of short, but
are you saying there can be only one?
There can be only one. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. No. So if you think about
Highlander,
well, yes, true. But if you think about it, it was 6 years, but we've gotten Mando 1, 2, 3, Bad Batch 1, 2, 3, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew, Andor 1, 2, Acolyte, Clone Wars 7, like Tales of the Jedi Empire and Underworld, Bad Batch, Visions. Like, we've gotten so much content in just 6 years from Disney Plus. So it's been a great 6 years, but what's the best? It's always the most impossible question.
Didn't Rebel start before Disney?
Yeah, it was on.
No, it was
XD.
Yeah,
it was just not on Disney Plus. Yeah,
it ended the year before Disney Plus started. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to do this.
I mean, I'll go. I mean, everybody sort of knows my, I think, answer already. But again, they're all great, I think, and I think we all think that. Again, that's why we're here. That's why we're on this channel. I think that's why most of the people that are on this chat are here, because I think they've done a great job. And it's funny, I met a bunch of people while I was on vacation this past couple weeks in reference, and people would ask, or we start talking about Star Wars, and it's funny. I think the most frequent question I get asked is, what do you think about Disney and what do you think about the last 3 movies? Because there's just so much controversy over it, and a lot of it, I think they just read and they hear things and they don't watch is my guess. But I think everything that they've done since George sold it, and Kathleen is the top dog at Disney for Lucasfilm, with Dave coming on doing all his things. I think everything has been phenomenal. Yeah, the last three movies weren't my favorite, but as we continue to grow and read books and stuff like that, they are becoming more and more likable for me. But my favorite out of everything that's come out so far, and it's so hard because I love them all, but I'm gonna say Obi-Wan, or I think Kenobi was my favorite because it just touched so many different OG things for me. I did like the Leia character. Yeah, there's some holes in it, about him leaving and different things, but I thought they did a great job. I think, bring in the third system. Was it third or seventh? Reva. It is what it is. You have to have something like that, I think, in reference to, because you have Darth Vader in there. But yeah, the last few episodes and those fight scenes, again, I get goosebumps just talking about them, because it brought Darth Vader into this is a bad MFer right here. He's just breaking necks and dragging people down the street, and you don't
breaking necks and cashing checks,
and you don't see that in the originals. So you have all these different things going on, and then him and Obi-Wan, reconnecting for the first time after everything that's happened. It was just such a cool thing for me. And again, that's my opinion. That's what I liked about it. But yeah, I think Disney and Lucasfilm have done a fantastic job with the acolytes. Boba Fett. So yeah, that's my final answer is Kenobi.
Well, as you said that, and I'll let you guys go next, but as you said that, I was thinking about it. Since we got Disney Plus 6 years ago, I think we've had more content in the last 6 years than the first 42 of Star Wars.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So with that being said, I'm going to go with the show that saved Disney Plus. Mandalorian.
It not only saved Disney Plus, it kickstarted it off. Like it made Disney Plus.
It helped save Star Wars in a way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It brought a whole new fan base. It was the merchandising of a lifetime. Like, see, there you go. Like, merchandising, and I know I talk about this all the time, but merchandising alone made them billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Not millions, billions. So Mando. And for me, I remember I had a Mandalorian flag in my recording studio before they even announced this, because I love Boba Fett and just like the lore that was already out there for that. And then when they announced that they were making a show, and I'm like, look, I have this. And people are like, what is that? What's a what? So yeah, Mandalorian. Andor is a close second.
Yeah.
Oh, and so, I mean, again, they're all so good. But all right, Nick.
Yeah. I'm actually with Ron. For me, Obi-Wan was huge. Few reasons. I think I had a really hard time not just saying Andor. Just because that's probably that's, if it weren't for the fact that like Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan was like my hero for like my entire childhood, that was coming around. It was literally the same week that came out was when I went to my first Star Wars celebrations, where I met Ron. Austin and I went. Yeah, like everything around that time, I don't know, it just felt big, and I also defended the hell out of it. So maybe I'm just a little like amped up about it whenever we talk about it. But that's where I like really I was really looking forward to it for a long time, and I ended up liking it by the end. I was wondering where it was going to go, but I think it's one of those things where when you really write it out on paper, like it's genuinely cool that Reva is an Inquisitor, that her entire like life mission is to kill Vader. Like that's cool. The way that it paced out on the screen maybe didn't land for a lot of people, but like that's cool. Everything Obi-Wan, with it being Leia and not Luke, that was cool. With it being, them fighting more than once, him and Vader fighting more than once in order to like build even more tension. That's cool. All that stuff, the path, And that's coming from someone who I'm pretty sure I could find my tweet. I tweeted that if when they announced it, that if Obi-Wan and Vader meet and
Austin just said that.
Oh yeah, he just put it in there.
yeah. So I remember exactly what my tweet was because it was pinned. If Obi-Wan and Vader meet, I'm gonna throw up. And I didn't throw up. It was great.
You threw up with excitement. It was wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah. I would have to say that, but it was really hard for me not to say Andor.
Yeah. So I mean, I look at it, I guess favorite season and favorite project are very different because Mando's 3 seasons, and that's kind of hard to combat 3 versus 1 or anything
3
like
and a
that.
half as well, if you really want to get into it.
True. Yeah,
I know
Boba Fett.
I know Mike's answer.
Yeah, but if we're going by season, it's not very close for me, and it's Ahsoka. But I love Andor, especially season 2. What that was this year was insane. And Mando season 2 is up there as well because it's just the insanity of Luke. But not even that. Ahsoka in live action for the first time, Boba Fett's return after 40 years, all that stuff. It was great. And season 1, what it did for Disney Plus, and it's just a great season. Like the first season, everybody complains about the cameos in season 2. Season 1 is just as good without any of the cameos, so pick your poison. But it always comes down to Ahsoka because when people think about the sequels, they always go, oh, remember back in 2015 when it came out and we were all like, who is Snoke? Who is Rey? All that. That's what we've been doing for the last 2 years with Ahsoka. Is it Abeloth? Who's Balin Skull? Like, what's he going to actually be? Like, how is this all going to play out? Is Thrawn really the heir to the Empire? What's on Peridia? Are we getting these giant droid things? Like, it's this same sort of speculation and fun that I haven't felt in a very long time. So it's the cliffhanger aspect of it. I think it's really like a good cliffhanger in that first season, but it's bringing all my favorite characters. Rebels is my favorite show by far, and all those characters being brought to life. Perfect casting for Iman as Ezra, and Ewan's wife, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, as Harrison Duel. Like, it's just great all around, and can't get enough of the lightsaber fights. And I mean, come on, the 5th episode of that show is just a masterpiece. World Between Worlds, Hayden Christensen back. You're going back to the Clone Wars and getting Captain Rex. It blows my mind every time I think about how great that show was. So for me, it's Ahsoka. But as we've all said, it's so hard to pick. Like, none of us mentioned Skeleton Crew, but that's extremely underrated.
I was just going to bring that up of like the impact, like even though the show didn't do as well as they wanted it to, the impact of what the show was, it was so vastly different. And I adore that show. Absolutely adore that show so much. Like, I would probably give my left foot to have a second season. And I think it took a lot of courage for them to make that show. And it was just fun. Like, if you watch Skeleton Crew, even not as a Star Wars fan, and you don't have fun, I'm going to question you. Because like, it is just like 80s nostalgia fun. Yeah.
It's like it reminds me of Stranger Things. I just watched Stranger Things. I just rewatched Stranger Things. It's that same sort of fun.
Yeah. And Goonies. I mean, it's Star Wars Goonies, it's Space Goonies.
Yeah, and then there was 2 projects that none of us brought up, but we have to bring it up on every live stream. Is the Acolyte is one, and it's sort of the same reason I love the Acolyte so much that Nick loves Kenobi. It's those lightsaber fights in Episode 5 and in the finale, but it's also, I felt like I was fighting for my life when the Acolyte was coming out. Like, I was fighting. I was like, what am I seeing that people aren't? Am I crazy? Are you crazy? Is everybody crazy? I guess everybody is crazy, but that was what I learned, I suppose. But the Acolyte, although it got all the crap, although it sits at like a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes to this day, still love the hell out of that show.
Austin, Austin, go take a nap, Austin. The book's terrible. It's definitely no Black Spire Outpost.
There you go. And the last one that I don't think any of us brought up, well, actually 2, was Clone Wars 7, which it kind of, people forget it came out on Disney Plus because it's a Clone Wars season, but that Siege of Mandalore arc specifically is just a masterpiece beyond masterpiece. And then Book of Boba Fett. Although Book of Boba Fett has its shaky moments, I think From the Desert Comes a Stranger is maybe the best Disney Plus episode, or my personal favorite Disney Plus episode period. Like you start with like the Cad Bane and Cobb Vanth in the desert, then you go to Luke training Grogu, and you got Ahsoka and Luke having conversations. Like all that stuff is just so good.
Yeah.
And even Max Rebo's not here tonight, and his
was.
silence in the chat.
He was.
Oh, he was.
He was already talking about you.
Oh, I missed him. Okay, well, Max Rebo dies in that episode too, so it's a fantastic episode.
We mentioned someone dying, and he's like, "You sound like Mike."
See, that's the problem.
Then he went
Max
back
Rebo's
to-
just mad. Max Rebo's just mad that he's dead. Like that's the real issue here.
I know. Well, we were talking about Poe Dameron and
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
the whole bringing him back, and we're like, what if his ship just comes in and it explodes? And it's like, yeah.
Sounds like
Which,
something else.
speaking of things that we wanted to bring back to you real quick, Mike, do you know next week is a holiday? It's a very special holiday on the 17th.
On the 17th of November.
Mm-hmm.
No idea.
Oh, none of you guys got it. It is
Wait,
Life Day.
Oh, it's Life Day.
Life Day. So
See, I knew it was in this time of year because when it was Stranger Things Day on the 6th, I saw something about Chewie and Life Day. I just didn't know what the day was.
yes.
17th, really?
Yep, the 17th.
Cool.
So they just put out, the big promo with Chewie in his robe holding the globe thingy, and
Nice.
yeah, I'll be wearing my robes on Tuesday.
There you go. Life Day. Gotta love that. Oh, and the other one was the Bad Batch. None of us brought up the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
I think the third season of that is like masterfully done. The first two seasons, I'm watching them right now. Actually, they're better than I remember. But it's all just this big lead up to the third season. It's like the Clone Wars or like Rebels, where the final couple seasons, where you have to have a couple seasons of build up first. And I think like Kenobi and Bad Batch are sort of in the same realm, and Skeleton Crew of just being extremely underrated. Like just nobody talks about how really good those projects are because maybe they didn't watch them because it's animated. The Bad Batch at least is, but yeah.
Derek, can I show us what you sent me or what you sent us?
Absolutely.
all of
Please
us.
do. Please do. Please.
Team mascot. Where is it?
Do not disturb. Meat puppet.
Oh my god, that's awesome, Snoke.
I'm making a T-shirt for that, y'all. That's gonna be our new thing. Like,
Kind of looks a little Voldemort-y, don't you think?
I mean, I just
A
used
little.
AI. I just use AI. I can actually like get Snoke. I'll get Snoke, but it was for sake of like time of like, oh, I'm just gonna do this real quick. But
The
robes
robes
the
are
sign that said,
fantastic.
yeah, because
Speaking
they can't do his face. There's
Yeah.
copyright stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of me killing off everybody, somebody in my Discord sent this to me in the Discord for the live stream yesterday. That's me as the Grim
Palpatine.
Reaper.
Yeah.
How do we get that up there like that? Nope. Do that again, Mike.
Nope.
Oh no! Oh, you're gonna put mine up there?
Nick, do you know how to do that? I've seen
Do
you.
what?
Me?
Yeah, just Mike.
Yeah. I just couldn't
I think
see
so. Yeah.
I did it.
Oh,
Quit messing with
There we
stuff.
go. There he is.
it. See, I couldn't see that it was you in it.
Yeah, the
Oh,
face is
no.
me like I'm smiling like some psychopath.
That's
All right,
pretty
let's, I just got a text from my mom. Urgent, not urgent. She said,
urgent.
"Sorry, my bad.
Urgent.
Not urgent." Just outed her on this. She wants to know in order to watch the shows.
Oh, I
That's-
can't do this.
Just
That's
the
big.
shows.
Yeah,
just the shows.
she's seen them
honestly-
all though. I think. So I don't
In
know.
order
That's
to
way
watch
too
the
hard.
shows, you could go in order. Start with the Clone Wars, but and then go from there. I think you kind of have to watch the Clone Wars to watch the Bad Batch. So
Mm.
there's that.
Does she do
Um,
animation?
No, I would say we're talking.
Okay,
about
live action.
Live action.
Then I'd start with Kenobi.
Release order. Yep.
Yeah,
Mando.
Release
Probably.
order is not bad because I've found as my girlfriend Sam's watching all these for the first time, like when Hera shows up and Kanan shows up in Bad Batch, I'm like, oh, you're gonna know them soon. But when I watched those, I already had 4 seasons with those characters. Like I already know them so much.
Mhm.
So release order doesn't ever hurt. That's for sure. So,
Well, and that's the way that I had to watch it. So you should too.
yeah.
Well, if you do it by like chronological order and you're using the animation too, it goes all over the place. Like you got one episode of Tales of the Jedi, then you're not getting back to Tales of the Jedi for like weeks. Like it's all over the place.
I would, just to answer her question, probably just go release order, or just like start with one and see where you go. Because if you, for example, if you start with The Mandalorian like the rest of us, you might then want to watch Book of Boba Fett as opposed to jumping over and watching Ahsoka. Or, you know,
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like, I don't know, is there like a mechanism in Disney Plus to tell you once you've been done with season 2 of Mandalorian that you should probably watch Book of Boba Fett?
It gives you suggestions.
It
does.
Yeah, probably. And well, I would honestly say maybe release order, but I think chronological works good too, because you'd start with the Acolyte, and the Acolyte's almost like a standalone project, and then you get Kenobi, and then you get Andor, and then you go right into the Mandoverse, and all the Mandoverse stuff is right in a row. So,
but I also think
oyster.
Yeah, well, I think it's hard if you want to know more things. You have to watch the animation, the Clone Wars, all of the tales, the Bad Batch, Rebels. It just explains so much more. So when you do see it, and yeah, they've done a great job. You can go watch Ahsoka and be like, wow, that was a really cool series. But if you've seen Ahsoka in the Clone Wars and you know who she is, you have an idea of who Hera and Chopper and Sabine and Ezra. You have an idea of who these people are. Even in Mandalorian. Yeah, I think definitely for Mandalorian, I think it's 1 and 2, and then go to Boba Fett and then watch season 3. But there's so much more in between. And like we've talked about, we didn't mention some of these, but we all know how good everything that's they're talking about is just fantastic. And you know, maybe we didn't mention Bad Batch, but or the Acolyte, but we all love them, and it's so hard to pick which ones are our favorite, because I think they're all great. But again, with the watch order, chronologically, I think is probably the best way. Especially since she's seen so many of them. She's seen all the movies, right? Pretty much, and probably most of the live action.
They've also watched them when they released.
That's a different story. So, like, I don't think it's fair if you haven't watched them to watch them in chronological order. I think if you've never seen them, you should have to watch them in release order.
Yeah.
But
so
like,
they definitely
old man OG guy.
Yeah.
Like,
they definitely watched most of these when they came out, with the exception to maybe a couple. But
and Lane said, any chance we can jump to the future, because all these are from a galaxy far, far away a long time ago. And I say Avatar.
Yeah. Or a little slightly back, same movie, Dances with Wolves.
Yep.
Same movie as Avatar, everybody.
Before
that, Pocahontas.
I saw this on my other screen here as Derek said he wanted the season 2 of Skeleton Crew. John Watts actually just gave sort of his hope, I guess, giving us hope. John Watts says that he'd love to make a Skeleton Crew season 2, as he says, quote, I mean, I love Star Wars. I'd love to do anything in the Star Wars universe. I think we set it up there where there are way more stories that can continue in a lot of interesting ways. End quote. I think Skeleton Crew season 2 could be a great, like, after Ahsoka season 2, where do we go now? Like, what's next? And if the Skeleton Crew cast, at least Jod and maybe some others, are integrated into the Mando story, because that's what Dave's movie's supposed to be, then you can continue the Skeleton Crew story after the movie in a season 2.
This might be a hot take, but looking back, there's like a different feeling, and I think everyone in this chat liked the Book of Boba Fett, right? I'm not stepping on any toes here. So, like, going into Book of Boba Fett, especially having seen him come back in Mandalorian season 2, huge like hype, right? Because it's Boba Fett. And now when we look back on the Book of Boba Fett, we look fondly on that show for different reasons other than Boba Fett's back. Like, we look at it like, man, the Tusken Raider thing was cool. Man, Cad Bane was cool. Cobb Vanth is cool, like all these things. That was a cool thing. He's now the, demigod of Tatooine or whatever he calls himself. Daimyo of Tatooine. So we now look back on it, liking it for things that also, like with the Mandalorian tie-in and things that are other than Boba Fett being back, which was all the hype. And I feel like Skeleton Crew season 2 could be like that. It's like a catalyst for what, like you just said, what happens next. The way that Book of Boba Fett kind of turned out to be more of a catalyst for the universe we're in at that point, rather than just like, here's 6 hours of Boba Fett kicking ass. It's like more than that. We look back on it differently, and that it's kind of a springboard. I mean, we learn a lot about what's going on in the Mandalorian from not even the Mandalorian. We learn about that through Book of Boba Fett, some pretty consequential things. That's why I say it's kind of bizarre that they wouldn't have like a mechanism to say like you should probably
there must be
this. Yeah. Or they include it in the recap going into season 3 of Mando. I don't know. But anyway, I think Skeleton Crew season 2 would be like a mix of us wanting to see Jude Law again, but also these kids again, but also a catalyst for what's going on, because we're right in the thick of it with Ahsoka and Mando and Grogu.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'd be fine if we didn't have a second season, but they were in other things, but like heavily in them, not just like, oh, hi. Like I want, like, I need that. I need them in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they already talked about when Skeleton Crew was coming out with when it was coming out at the first season, that they had the idea for season 2 where it wouldn't be like what happened with Stranger Things, where the kids grew up and they're still playing young kids. Like they have a time jump idea where Wim will look a lot older and it will make sense because it's later in the timeline. So that's the hard part of working with kid actors. But if you're going to do a season 2, it'd have to be later on in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But they already have that planned out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't they? I think we'll probably see them. And same with Omega. I think we'll hopefully see her again too, which I think will be pretty cool to bring all these things in. And again, even though we talked about, like with Skeleton Crew and how much of a just like sort of standalone it is, I think they had to put that in there for whether we see that in Mandalorian and Grogu or Ahsoka. You have At-Atin there, and that has to play something in that way.
Yeah.
I think in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about for weeks how the Ben Solo movie has been connecting to the Acolyte and Ahsoka with the World Between Worlds. I think Skeleton Crew is just as connected as all these other projects, like the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian and Ahsoka. Like, they're not made for no reason. They could have made Skeleton Crew at any point in the timeline. They chose to do it in the Mandoverse, where we need At-Atin to be for Thrawn, right next door to Dathomir. So it's obviously on purpose. Yeah.
Well, and Evan, I think, sort of like Mike just said, you have to do Skeleton Crew. The kids can't stay the same age because these kids, just age much faster. And I think it's different when you have, a 35 to 40-year-old man or woman instead of a 10-year-old to a 15-year-old kid. That's a big difference. And I think that's the thing where we're going to have to bring them into the Mandalorian movie or whatever comes afterwards when they are older and they've aged, and since Skeleton Crew they've aged. Same with Omega. So I think that's mainly the big reason that they have to do that with the kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we are at almost an hour and 50. So
wow.
Yeah. Again, it's just crazy. Well, it's like yesterday when I was listening to Mike, it's like I was working out and I'm like, man, this is like a long workout, but it's like it goes by so fast.
Yeah.
So because we just talk about so many different things, and we've gone and touched on a whole bunch of different things since we've been here tonight, which is pretty awesome. So anybody have any plans for Life Day? Now that we all know about it,
I'm celebrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's on a Tuesday. I'll have a live stream. We'll celebrate somehow.
Yeah, I have my my Yub Nub, and it'll be great.
Yub Nub.
Yeah. I'll invite my Ewok friends over, and we'll have a
We'll get Lumpy in there, and it'll be wonderful.
I just want to know what's going to be on the menu.
Ooh, porgs.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So thanks, guys, again for coming out here and just joining us. Everybody that's in the chat, appreciate you guys joining us. We continue to grow. The comments keep coming in. We love interacting with you guys and trying to answer questions and hear what you guys have to think about this. So it's really appreciated that you guys come on here and spend almost 2 hours and 2 hours with us. I know you guys had a couple that went 2 hours, which was pretty cool while I was gone. So again, there's people keep saying Star Wars is dead and this is that. Star Wars isn't dead. We can't even agree on all the good things that are on Star Wars.
Right.
There's so many good things out there. It's hard for us to pick a favorite. So there's so much good stuff coming. These leaks and rumors and everything come out each day. We take each one of them with a grain of salt, but hopefully we'll see some new things come up here. We haven't seen anything, and I think we definitely will soon, and we're going to have to talk about it, is Shadow Lord. We haven't talked about Shadow Lord, hardly at all, with all this other stuff that's sort of popping up with Ahsoka and Mandalorian and Starfighter. So that'll be another whole thing, and I want to get Jacob on here as well as we continue to talk about this Ben Solo stuff. Because he has gone through all the comics, and if anybody else has gone through the comics, we'll go over some of that stuff too. So all that being said, thank you guys so much for being here. We'll be back next week. Tomorrow, Mike has his podcast, A Guy Who Loves Star Wars, and again on Saturday and Tuesday. So join him for that. We did have a great time the other night. I was telling everybody I was sitting at JFK Airport with on a delay while I watched the Force Awakens with you and everybody else, and that was fun. It's just so good to see that again. And then I'll probably watch the next two as I'm continuing to watch Clone Wars right now. I'm on season 2. So this is, I don't know, the 10th time I've seen it, but they're all so good, and we all just keep, like you said, you keep watching. You get to watch more with Sam, go through and figure out, hey, you know what? Bad Batch was even better than I thought.
Yeah, you always forget.
Yeah, it's amazing. So thanks everyone for being here again. Wednesdays every week we'll be here live with hopefully the 4 of us. If not, one of us will be here for sure. So talking about Star Wars. May the Force be with you, and thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Talk to you later. Bye.